the department versus Selena Ybarra and Elijah Carter. We're here today on a request for court-ordered services. We are conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. And we are live streaming, and Ms. Galvan is making our record this morning. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Your Honor, Eugene Graff on behalf of the state will announce ready. I did want to ask if I could go into a breakout room briefly with the attorneys before we begin.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Stacey Grant for Selena Ibarra, the mother. I'm ready. My client's present, Judge.
Hello. Judge Pam Sermon here, and my client Elijah Carter's here, and I also would request that breakout room.
Stacey Zabala on behalf of the children.
Okay. All right, let me get the attorneys in together first, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you.
Are we ready to go?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, then, Mr. Graff, any announcements to make? Or are you ready to call your first witness?
Well, Your Honor, in light of my conversation with counsel, to whom I'll defer, now that they've spoken with their clients, it's my understanding that we may have an agreement and will not be proceeding to contested hearing.
Okay.
Your Honor, present from the father, Mr. Carter, and he has agreed to work services.
Same announcement for the mother, Miss Ibarra.
All right, then. So everybody has agreed to name the department as temporary managing conservator.
No.
No, this is an OTP.
Oh, that's right. This is just court-ordered service. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I've had a lot of disruptions this morning. I'm so sorry. Okay, so everybody's just agreeing to the order to participate in services. And is there any discussion or any question about what services are being requested?
Oh, ma'am.
No, Your Honor, my client's received a service plan and understands her services.
Okay.
And I can let the court know that the parents, once this was filed, have made some efforts to begin their follow through. So they had a safety plan prior, and there was just some delay in the follow through. That was the reason for the state to file. But since then, parents are stepping it up. So we're confident that this case will resolve in a positive way.
Okay, sounds very good. All right, then, I will find that there is a substantial risk of abuse or neglect or continuing danger to the physical health and safety of the child, and will order the services. I find that those will be necessary to protect the physical health and safety of the child or children. And I will see everybody back for a compliance hearing on September 17th of 2024. That's going to be on a 9 o'clock docket. And, Miss Ibarra and Mr. Carter, y'all really buckle down and get going on these things. You may be done and we could be out of your lives by September, so it's really kind of up to you all. But I wish you, the very best with this, and hope that you all will really gain some skills and ways to cope with things in a better and more positive manner.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I'll see you back September 17th, unless we are done and have dismissed before that time.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay, I appreciate y'all working this out.
Thank
Everybody
you,
have
Judge.
a good rest of your day.
You too. We'll get this order out.
Okay, and we are here today on a status hearing. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming, and Ms. Galvan's making our record today. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Let me see. Cam Williams is going to be my permanency specialist, or Ms. Galvin.
All right, I'll bring Ms. Williams in.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't see that she wasn't in yet, Johnny.
Bailey Sapien standing in for Natalie Archer on behalf of Mom. I do know Miss Archer tried to get the link to Mom. I don't know if she'll be here today.
She's not in the waiting room right now.
Thank you, Judge.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Michaela.
All right, Ms. Williams, what do we have new since your court report was filed?
Nothing new. Michaela's been placed in a kinship home. Mom has received her services. She hasn't signed her service plan yet. And we cannot locate dad.
You said mom has signed her service plan? Or
She
has
hasn't signed it, but she's received it.
not? Okay. Has she indicated a willingness to work services?
Yes. And we've been in communication with her this week, and we sent her the Zoom link yesterday.
Is she staying in contact with you?
Yes.
All right. Okay, then Ms. Sapien?
I don't have any updates for the court, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I got to visit Michaela in the home. She is doing great. She seemed so much more settled and at peace than when I visited with her before. I have no concerns with her aunt. I think it is a good placement for her. I think she's been able to speak with her mom, but we do want to make sure that in-person visits are being offered. Those are very important to her. She's also really in some need of some summer clothing. I think maybe there was some left at the previous placement. I may be getting that wrong, but she really could use some shorts and some things like that. It's my understanding that I believe that Aunt is going through the home study process potentially to get licensed, but I may be wrong on that. But I do know that she's been participating with home studies. And this issue may have already been addressed, but I believe there may be a potential memorial service that Michaela would like to attend if there is one. I believe that would be for her. I believe mom just recently lost a baby.
All right. Let me just ask, Ms. Phillips, is that correct? Are you gonna try to get licensed?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. Do you know anything in the specifics about the memorial service?
No, ma'am, I spoke with the funeral home director yesterday and he's supposed to be giving me a call back today.
Okay, all right. If you wouldn't mind to just let Ms. Williams know the specifics of that. If Michaela does want to attend, I would certainly be in favor of her doing that.
Okay.
So we just need to kind of coordinate all that and make sure everybody knows what the plan is.
Okay.
Okay.
And Your Honor, I do want to clarify one other thing with Ms. Phillips. We had talked about Michaela needing to do summer school. Were you able to get that all situated, or do you need help with that?
No, ma'am. Well, we went to the high school yesterday and the principal wasn't available. They said that he would be here today at 8, but we're here at the court. So I guess we'll try again tomorrow.
Okay. If you could let me know if y'all have got any issues with getting that done, and I can see if there's anything that I can do to help.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, then today, what we will do is continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue Michaela's placement with her aunt. I would find there would be a continuing danger to return the child home at this time. And I'm going to order the service plans as an order of the court today. Obviously, we expect the department in St. Francis to continue to use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. And we will have our initial permanency hearing on October 29th of 2024. And that will be on a 9 o'clock docket. All right. right, Ms. Williams, if you'll just coordinate with Ms. Phillips about the service and, I would, Ms. Phillips, I mean, I don't want a big presence of like departmental people there or anything like that. So, I mean, I would think we would be comfortable with Ms. Phillips just supervising whatever contact that Michaela would have with her mother at that service. And if there's some family gathering or something following that, Ms. Zavala, you have any issue or any problems with Michaela attending that as long as she's with her aunt?
I do not. I feel like Aunt is very protective and has her best interest at heart. I have no concerns about that.
Okay, all right. So, I'm good with that, and that way, I just don't think it's appropriate that we would have to have somebody from the department or St. Francis present to do that supervision. So, Ms. Phillips, I'm assuming you would be attending.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So we're just going to leave that in your very capable hands.
Okay.
Okay. All right, then I'll see everybody back on October 29th.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank y'all. We're conducting this through Zoom under a finding of good cause and agreement of the parties. We're live streaming and Ms. Galvan's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Rachel Peoples is my permanency specialist. We are present ready.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Mom, Ocleta Chandler. My client's present and we're ready.
T.D. Hammonds for father of Rael Garza. I'm ready, Judge. I'll explain to you. He's in a safety facility right now, but I'll talk to you about his situation.
Okay.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the kids.
All right, then, Ms. Peoples, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
Since the court report was filed, I had some pending hair follicle results for Ocleta. Those were positive. And the children are doing very well in their placement. Talia turns 1 in July, and they're happy to be out of school for the summer. So I don't have a whole lot since the court report was filed. So
Okay, and
May I ask Ms. Peoples a question?
yeah, she was positive on her drug test for what, Ms. Peoples?
cocaine.
Was this a hair or?
It was a hair.
Did she do a UA at the same time?
No, she did a UA the month before.
Okay, all right. Okay, Ms. Sapien?
My question for Ms. Peoples is, thank you, Judge. Does the hair follicles show her levels to be dropping, Ms. Peoples?
Her levels, yes, they are lower from her last hair follicle in March.
Okay, so if you know, is that indicative of new use or her being sober and it's still showing in her hair as the levels drop?
I mean, to be honest, I don't really know how that works.
Okay. But you do agree levels are lower?
Yes.
And less metabolites are showing?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anything else then to report, Ms. Peoples?
No, I don't have anything else.
Ms. Peoples, has Mom done any, since the report, I know there were some services that Mom hasn't completed or worked on. Has she done any more on any of her services that you're aware of?
So that her second OSAR, a referral, we put out a referral for her second OSAR.
Okay.
I don't think that has been scheduled yet.
Okay.
And with her Padre classes, I believe she's done, I don't know exactly how many she's done since the court report was filed, but she has gone to the Padre class.
Okay. Do you know if she started her outpatient drug program?
No.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Sapien, anything else today?
Yes, Judge. My client is asking today that her visits be reinstated. She has not had visits with the children. Her levels are showing to be dropping. Her urinalysis did not show any cocaine. And so for those reasons, we would ask that her visits be able to begin again.
All right, Ms. Peoples, you all have a position about that, or?
Our position is just because she's been positive every month.
And
Okay,
Judge, sorry, I would say
okay,
mom's has been positive every month. It's, you know, March was hair follicles, cocaine. The April and May were both positive for marijuana. Of course, mom's levels went up in May from her April test. We didn't do a UA because she had just tested at the end of May. So it's only a hair follicle this time, but mom's screens have been positive pretty much throughout this case. She was negative in December and January on UAs, but other than that, she's had positive drug screens the whole time.
okay, so she had a negative UA last month, so why don't we do another UA on her? Let's send her today. And if it's negative, then we'll start the visits as long as it remains negative. So Ms. Chandler, you know, if you give another UA or the hair goes up on a future test, then you're at risk that those visits will be stopped.
Okay.
And Judge, just to clarify, is that levels on what drug are we talking about? Because she was positive for marijuana in the end of May on a UA.
Yeah.
So we're talking about if it's positive for cocaine or if it's positive for anything.
Cocaine, methamphetamine, I would exclude the marijuana unless it came back at incredibly high levels or something like that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And Judge, could we also have, mom was supposed to start outpatient services, has not done that with daily recovery. Can we order mom again to start her outpatient services?
Yeah, Ms. Chandler, tell me what's up with that. Why haven't you started that?
I have actually finished like my domestic violence and all that. I don't remember getting a thing for daily recovery, but it was a lot that I had to like look over and stuff and start. And I'm actually doing really good on my classes. So but I will go today or whatever I need to do to start that.
It's really important. I mean, Ms. Chandler, I mean, the drug situation is one of the big reasons why we're involved, you know, in your life. And you can work all your other services, but if you can't stay away from the drugs, then, you know, that's ultimately going to be the pivot point, you know, in this.
Yeah. I am sober. They didn't tell you how much my levels have went down. They've went down 8,000. I am sober right now, and I'm working on getting them completely clean, but.
Okay. And so I want you to go get some professional help with that.
Okay.
So I'm going to order you to the outpatient program again. And, you know, if you really, really want to maintain sobriety, that's the best way to start.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I'm very pleased that those levels have dropped. I mean, as far as the cocaine, you know, but you need to address, you know, you really need to be addressing the marijuana situation as well, because like it or not, it's still illegal in Texas. And, you know, it can be harmful to children to be around it.
Yes, ma'am.
So you really need to do that. Okay.
May I ask Ms. Chandler a couple of questions, Your Honor?
Yeah, sure.
Ms. Chandler, where are you on your Padre program?
Padre, I have 4 classes left.
Okay. Have you missed some of those?
I missed like a couple due to being sick, but he also cancels a lot.
Okay. You understand if the canceling is on your side, they could discharge you. You understand?
I understand. And I talk to him every time I cancel.
Okay. are you working on getting your driver's license back?
Yes.
Do you know what all you have to do to get that back?
They told me that I just have to finish paying off my tickets.
Okay. And are you set up on a payment plan for all of that?
Yes.
And you're still living with your mother, is that correct?
Yes.
Are you planning on staying there for a while, or do you have any plans of getting a place on your own?
Me and Israel, we're gonna get a place on our own. Whenever he gets out, we were gonna get a place again so that we could have all the kids together again.
Do you know when he's set to get out?
It should be October.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor. I'll pass witness.
Your Honor, I still have questions for Ms. Peoples, but then I guess Ms. Chandler as well.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm gonna give Mr. Hammond an opportunity as well, so.
You want me to go first, Judge? Or?
Sure, anything today, any questions or from Ms. Peoples or anything to add?
Yeah, Ms. Peoples, since Israel went to SafeP, have you had any contact with him?
I have not. Well, I have had one conversation over the phone with him. He has a courtesy worker who goes and sees him once a month.
And it is your understanding he should be released in October?
Yes.
Nothing further, Judge.
Okay. All right, and Ms. Zabala?
Your Honor, I'd like a little clarification from Ms. Peoples regarding the Padre program. In the report, you state that it's being reported that Ms. Chandler is often late and does not take the classes seriously, and that they are saying that if she continues to be late and does not participate, that she will have to be discharged from that program a second time. Have you heard anything different from the Padre class?
So I spoke to the class leader, Antonio, who does the Padre program. He told me that. I have spoken with him since then, and I talked to him on June 10th, and he told me that she has 4 classes until she completes the program, and he was still reporting that she's sometimes late and doesn't take the class seriously. So,
how long ago was were the visits with the children stopped?
we stopped them in November 8th.
And then, with Dad, when did he go into safety?
December 29th.
Had he worked any services prior to doing that?
He had not.
And then had Mom indicated to you that the plan was for Mom and Dad to move back in together when he's released?
Yes, she told me that on our last visit.
When those visits were stopped with the kids, was that difficult on the kids?
I think it was. The kids didn't really express much to me, so I can't really answer that very clearly.
Do you have any concerns about what effect starting the visits up again might have on the kids if Mom's not taking this seriously?
I mean, if Mom continues to not take this seriously and we resume visits, it could be even harder on the kids when those visits get taken away again. So I mean, kind of a hard place.
I have no further questions.
Judge, may I ask her a couple more, please?
Certainly.
Ms. Peoples, it is true that before Israel went to safety, the department had actually placed Talia with him, correct?
She was court ordered to his home. Yes.
I mean, he was basically, I'm going to describe him as the non-offending party. I mean, you did UAs on him and looked at his home and had no concerns, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, the only reason Talia was removed from him was because as part of a previous probation order, he agreed to go to safety.
That wasn't the only reason.
Okay, but when he comes back, I mean, the department, you would be willing to continue working with him or have him go to services just like you were suggesting before?
Yes, he would be required to work all those services that we ordered for him at the beginning of the case.
I mean, because obviously we can assume when he gets out from 9 months of safety, he's going to be clean and sober and hopefully with an attitude to remain that way.
Hopefully, yes.
Okay. I have nothing further, Judge.
I have a couple of follow-ups on that, Your Honor.
Sure.
Ms. Peoples, Israel Garza also, under the terms of having the children placed with him, violated those terms, correct?
Correct.
He allowed his mother around and his sister around who were ordered not to be around.
I don't recall his sister being around, but his mother was reported to be living with them.
Okay. And he allowed Ms. Chandler around, correct?
Yes.
Without the department's knowledge.
Yes.
So the child was not placed there by y'all's decision. It was court ordered.
Correct.
And dad broke the rules of having the child placed there
Correct.
and has not worked any services.
Correct.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Ms. Chandler, you unmute for me.
Yes.
Okay. You've heard what these people's concerns are, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
That if I start your visits again and then you don't take this rehab and sobriety seriously, that I'll have to take those away again, and what impact that will have on your children.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, do you appreciate how hard this is on your kids anyway? How hard it is for them to be removed from home and be placed in foster care and then not get to see you. And now if they get to see you again, but then we have to stop that again. You understand how very difficult that's going to be for them.
Yes, ma'am.
So are you going to do the right thing by your children and stay sober?
Yes.
Is that what you want to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there some reason why when you've been in some of these classes, why you're not taking it seriously?
I do take Mr. Antonio's class very serious. Sometimes I am late, but I do take his class serious. Anytime he asks me a question, I answer it.
Okay. I mean, do you understand what's at stake?
Yes.
I mean, I told you from the very beginning that, you have a limited amount of time to get these things done, and you can't wait till the last minute to then all of a sudden decide to do it. Doesn't work that way. I mean, we typically like to see 6 months of sobriety with a parent before we even think about sending the kids back home to them. So you don't have a clean drug test yet. So, you're running out of time. We've got a final set September 3rd. I have the ability to extend the case for another 6 months if there are extraordinary circumstances that support that. And I'll let your attorney talk to you more about what that means. But I'm telling you what it means is you had better get your services finished, and you better be really maintaining sobriety, and you better be giving me clean drug tests between now and then.
Yes, ma'am.
And only if those things happen would I even consider extending the case 6 months to give you time to prove to us that you're going to stay sober. and that you're not going to disappoint your children anymore. You know, they're just too little to have to bear that kind of heartache. So I'm going to stick by what I said. I'm going to allow you to have the visits as long as your UA that you're going to go do today, as long as that's negative for everything. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it going to be positive for marijuana?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So if it's negative for everything, then you can start seeing the kids.
Okay.
But everything's got to stay negative. And on your hair test, if your next one, if it's not negative, but it's at still lower levels, then I'll allow you to continue to see the kids.
Yes, ma'am.
But anything outside of that, then we'll have to stop the visits.
Okay.
And you're just not going to have time you're not going to have time to do this. And you could be looking at termination of your parental rights. So, you know, time to take it super seriously. Okay. All right, everybody clear what we're doing?
Yes, Judge. T.D. Hammonds, I would like to just tell the court, I have been in contact with the Safe P facility where Mr. Garza is located. I got information that they would need a court order from you to allow him to call into these types of hearings. I didn't get that information till just a couple days ago, but I will either call him or write to him, let him know where we are. I can just tell the court, of course, I'm going to hope the court would give him a chance to get out of Safe P and show the court his commitment as well. But I mean, I understand we can approach that in, September, I guess.
Okay.
Nothing else, Judge.
All right. Okay, then today we're going to continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the children's placement. I find a continuing danger to return the children home to either parent today. I'll order mom to go do a UA before 4 o'clock today. And if it's negative for all substances, then her visits can resume and will remain as long as all drug tests are negative and or the hair level continues to drop. And then I'll see everybody back September 3rd on a 9 o'clock docket, and that's the day our final will be set. Unless we see some massive improvement. Today set for our final in this matter. We are conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Galvan is making our record. Okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Bailey Sapien on behalf of Ocleta Chandler. My client is present and I do have a motion to make, Your Honor.
Judge T.D. Hammonds for Israel Garza. I'm ready to proceed, but Mr. Garza is still in a custodial unit with PDCJ. I have some things I need to discuss with the court as well.
Okay.
Jay Michelson on behalf of Darnell Donald. I've not had contact with Mr. Donald. I'm present to the extent that I'm ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the children.
All right, then. Well, Ms. Sapien.
Thank you, Judge. Your Honor, on behalf of Ms. Chandler, I am requesting an extension on this final hearing. My client, according to the court report, has one outstanding service. I've talked to Ms. Chandler. She is actively engaged in this remaining service, which is daily recovery services, that I think is very important to her success. And so I would ask the court for more time in order for her to be able to complete that service.
She's initiated it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may.
Uh-huh.
It's my understanding, I think this came out of an OSAR, if I'm correct on that. It came out of an OSAR. She did not do her OSAR back in 2023. She reached out in June of this year to get some of this set up, didn't initiate the program until August, and just started. she had a session on August 22nd and one on August 27th, but that is something we've been trying to get her to do for quite a while now, and that just got initiated within the last week or two. And we've still been having issues, trying to get her initiated in those because we're still having issues with positive drug screens throughout this case. And so, but yes, she did initiate that service on the 21st or 22nd of August.
Does the department agree that everything else she has completed?
Yes, ma'am, I believe so. That is correct. She's worked her other services. We just haven't seen changes in behaviors as far as the drug issues, which is the main reason we've been here in the first place. But she has worked through her service plan, and this was her something we've been trying to get her to do for quite a while now.
Well, Ms. Sapien, let me just pose the question. When was the last drug screen
Your Honor,
that was done on her, and what were the results?
the last drug screen, I believe, was conducted in August. And I think those results came through this morning. It was positive for marijuana. However, Miss Chandler in the past has struggled with cocaine, and that has not shown up on her drug test in a very long time.
And Judge, in response to that, if I may, this month's marijuana results were higher than last month's marijuana results. So the screenings went up again almost.
All right. Well, okay, now we have the same problem here that we did in our last case. So Mr. Garza is incarcerated and he's not here today.
Judge, that's correct. And I'm just gonna tell you, that's my fault because at our last hearing, we all left it with, let's work with Ms. Chandler. She's, working toward reunification. I did not realize she was continuing to have the drug issue because I don't recall getting the latest drug test. If they're saying the results were just presented a few days ago, I would have had to call the law library at Glossbrenner unit. I'm going to assume like a week to 10 days before our hearing. I have to get an order from you, Judge. This is what they told me. I have to get an order from your office just signed by you that says, we need Israel Garza present on such and such date. All right. I was under the impression up until just this moment that we were all going to extend this case so Miss Chandler could get her affairs in order, and I was hopeful that Israel Garza is to be released before the end of the year. Now, that's information he's given me, that he agreed to go into a drug program which will help with his release from prison. If the court recalls, Talia was placed with Israel at some point. He did not keep certain people away from her, which, again, I understand the department's position, and so she was removed from him. But from my position, Judge, I'm asking you to continue it, not only for Ms. Chandler's benefit, but for Mr. Garza's. I'll be in contact with him over the next 3-4 months, to see if he's going to be released. If not, I will then start making the phone calls or the letters that I need to Glossbrenner to get him present on a Zoom hearing. But just 15 minutes ago is when I learned, the department was going to oppose a continuance because of this new marijuana finding.
Well, quite frankly, that's the bigger problem, is that he's not been brought in. This is a final hearing.
True.
It's the department's seeking termination based on the court report that was filed. So that's the one I have the heartburn with. I've got concerns that mom may have worked services, but I still have some concerns, reading the report. you know, and I'll be candid, Miss Sapien, you know, she's living with her mother. She's dependent on others for transportation. She's recently been arrested for speeding and driving without a license. You know, I mean, those are just all things that continue to be a concern, obviously, for the department, but obviously it's a concern for me too. I mean, it's still a lack of stability and a lack of being able to care for the children on our own. And I understand that our drug tests have just been positive for marijuana. We've had this conversation, you know, you know, yeah, if I had $1 for every time I heard it's just pot, but you know, it is illegal. And so, you know, Ms. Chandler, you got to make some choices in life. You know, you're either gonna be a law-abiding citizen and you're gonna drive with a valid license. You're gonna get a license and you're gonna drive only with a valid license. You're gonna stop using marijuana. You're gonna, you know, basically, you need to stop behaving like a kid and decide to be a grown-up. Because you've got kids that you've got young children that need to be able to depend on you. And, you know, going around smoking dope and driving without a license and speeding and whatever. Don't even start with me. I don't want to give this extension. And the only reason I'm going to give it is because we don't have Dad here. I mean, you have had more than enough time to get to the finish line. But you've just chosen not to do what it takes. I mean, you've done just what you had to get by and just in the nick of time. And you're not even finished yet. You know, with the one thing that really mattered in this case, which was drug treatment. You know, you waited till the very end to even get going with that. So, you know, I'm being straight with you. I'm not going to grant an extension because anything that you've done. I'm granting it only because I don't have a necessary party for a termination trial that needs to be brought in from prison. He has the right to participate. And you know, I'm not going to try the case twice. I'm not going to do this and have the Court of Appeals kick it right back at me because we didn't get Dad brought in. So, you know, the only break you're cutting today is that we're going to have to reset this for a later date. But right now, we've got another final. We just reset to November 14th. I don't know that I want to set this on that same day. Miss Katie, if we got any other days that between now and say the beginning of November that we can reset this, it'll give Mr. Hammond's time to get his client lined up and brought in, and then we're going to go to trial. I know you were we had to reset the Carnes final, and right now it's reset to November 14th.
In your honor, I think I know the answer to this. I just want to ask it on while we're discussing it. I would suggest a call and recess on it, but that instead of an extension.
I understand. I just really dislike doing that when his client's not present at all.
Yes, ma'am.
I hear you, but you know, I want to commence it long before 90 days anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know. Let's see. Hang on. Give me just a minute just to discuss this with Ms. Katie.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I think we're looking at the afternoon of October 3rd. Everybody check that and see if that's possible.
I have a final set in person in Potter County on that afternoon.
Okay. This will look at other possibilities. All right, she's saying October 8th in the afternoon.
That works for me, Your Honor.
I'm set for a jury trial to begin that day in Castro. If I need to, I can get someone to cover for me here.
Judge, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna take. I gotta go back and look at them. I know we got 2 other finals that day also. I know
Yeah,
something.
on October the 8th, Judge, I'm involved with that Contreras final. I have an unknown alleged dad, but, you have another final that day.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
Miss
gotta go
Katie,
look and see where we're going on that.
anything else, Miss Katie?
17th in the afternoon.
Yeah, 10:17.
I can do that.
I can do that.
I can too.
Okay, Mr. Michelson.
Works for me.
All right, great.
Yeah, TD Hammond's October 17th, and you're saying at 1 or 2 o'clock?
At 1 o'clock.
Okay, here's what I'll do, Judge. I'll contact the prison. I mean, I'll tell them, to have him available, 1 p.m.
I think Miss Katie just needs the unit and
Yes, I'll send her an email. I'll get the lady's name that we're gonna need to, I've got the law librarian that sets that up, so. And is that what you do, Judge? Just a 1-page order that says, have him available?
yeah, I think she's got it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Just you can coordinate it with her. I think she's got what they need.
Yes,
Issa, that day works for you? You good on the 17th?
Yes.
afternoon?
yes.
Okay, then I guess we'll conduct a quick review hearing. All right. Who's gonna Ms. Brown?
Ms. Brown.
Okay.
Good morning. Since the court report has been filed, there are no new updates except for the drug screens that were filed this morning.
And Ms. Brown, mom did start her services on the 21st, 22nd, and the 27th. So she's got about 11 weeks left of that.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. And that service is with Daily Recovery?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are those in person, virtual? How are they doing those?
I don't know what avenue they are using. Just that she is finally enrolled and has had at least 2 sessions and 11 weeks left.
Okay.
All right. Kids all still doing well?
Yes, ma'am. I supervised a visit with maternal grandmother last week and saw all 3 children. Week prior, I supervised a visit with paternal grandmother with just Talia, and they're all doing really well, enjoying school. Behaviors are improving.
Okay. Great. Anything else to report or update us on?
No, ma'am, not at this time.
Okay. All right, Ms. Sapien, anything to report today?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Michelson.
Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hammonds.
Nothing, Judge.
All right, and Ms. Zavala.
Your Honor, the kids are doing very well in placement, and I do recommend that continue.
All right, then I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator and continue the children's placement. And find there is a continuing danger to return the children home at this time. Obviously, Mr. Garza is incarcerated. We're not having contact with Mr. Donald and mother's not completed her services. I will grant the extension in the case since we were not able to get Mr. Hammond's client brought in from TDC, but we will do that for October 17th and go to trial on that day. And so October 17th of 2024 at 1 o'clock. All right, I'll see everybody back then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Daniel,
Thank
is that,
you.
is that gonna change our dismissal?
Oh, yeah, we'll change the
Oh.
dismissal date. We need to figure that out.
Sorry.
Just everybody
March
hang
4th.
on just a minute.
Sorry, Judge, I had it and forgot to say it.
What is it?
It's March 14th of 2025.
All right. March 14th, 2025. Okay. All right. Today on review.
Thank you all
hearings in
very
both
much.
Cases, we're conducting
All
these
right,
through
thank
Zoom. We're live streaming. Ms. Galvan's making our record. All right, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Jaleesa Bird is my permanency specialist. We are present ready.
Bailey Sapien standing in for Natalie Archer on behalf of mom, and I believe my client's present. We're ready.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of the boys.
All right, Ms. Bird, what do we have new since your court report was filed?
As far as the boys, they were doing well in their kinship home with their maternal grandmother. They're just enjoying their summer. They do have a few trips that have been mentioned. I know Sabian was planning to go to Austin, Texas with his grandmother, his paternal grandmother. I was notified this week that they might also go to Tennessee to see other family. So I wanted to mention that in court today. Angelo, the younger child, maternal grandmother mentioned wanting to go to Mexico. The time frame that I was given wasn't enough time frame to ask for approval through DFPS. So I wanted to mention maternal grandmother wanted to take Angelo to Mexico. I'm not sure when those dates are, and she did tell me it was sometime in July. So that's the update on travel for the boys in this case. I have not had contact with either father on this case, Mr. Peralta or Mr. Marin. And then as far as mom, Araceli was released from Potter County on April 15th. Since her release, she's been working her services. She's completed quite a few, and she has just a couple of more that are finishing up and that she needs to complete. So that's my update at this time.
So you would consider the mother is in compliance with her service plan at this point in time?
Yes.
Okay. Is she having visits with the children?
Yes, she has 2 hours a week, and those have been at our St. Francis office. She did ask if she could have supervised visits with her mother. We have approved a few visits for graduation parties, as well as the children's graduation school parties. So she has had those. Those have went well. Her mom's been reporting those to me, and so things are going well so far.
Okay, great. All right, what's our stated goal?
Reunification at this time.
Okay.
And Judge, we'd ask to go ahead and have UA and hair follicle on mom today. And would also ask to go ahead and get an order for mediation to where we can get together on this.
And mom did go UA last week. I did check that this morning. It was negative.
Okay.
And
do
then
we still want a hair follicle right now, or?
She did a hair in April, so I believe we could do a hair.
Okay. Yeah, if we can go ahead and do a hair follicle then today, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Okay. Ms. Sapien?
I don't have anything to add, Judge. Thank you.
All right. And Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, I visited with the boys in grandmother's home. They're doing very well. Grandmother's very, very protective. I have no concerns about grandmother supervising visits with mom as needed. I believe that would be appropriate. They did talk to me about travel stuff for Sabian. I've got no objection to him traveling to either Austin or Tennessee, but did let them know that they've got to make sure that all of that information and where he's going to be is provided to Ms. Bird. I had not heard anything about travel to Mexico. Grandmother didn't mention it to me at the time. But under some circumstances, I haven't been opposed to some of that as well, but it sounds like maybe that's off the table for right now. One of the issues previously had been getting their Social Security checks redirected. That has happened. Grandmother was getting those checks mailed to her. This was the first month that it switched to direct deposit, and for some reason, only one of those checks has come in. And I've had some communication with the Social Security contact with DFPS, and let him know about that situation. So I think that's being looked into and trying to figure out what the situation is there. But the boys are doing very well, and I do think a mediation could be helpful in this case.
All right, then. Today, what we will do is I'm going to order Ms. Chalaria to go do a hair test before 4 o'clock today. And I will sign an order for you all to mediate the case and assign a mediator to you. I'll approve the travel plans to go to Austin and to Tennessee. I'll continue the department as temporary manager conservator, and I will continue placement with maternal grandmother. I find there'd be continuing danger to return the children home today, but that mother is in compliance with her service plan and appears to be headed in the right direction. So we are set then for our final on September 17th, 2024. That'll be on a 9 o'clock docket. And we'll take a look at where we're at that point in time. All right. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Your Honor.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you.
Judge, what did you want the deadline for mediation to be?
September 1st. For a review hearing, we're conducting this through Zoom. We're live streaming, and Ms. Galvan's making our record. All right, we'll take announcements.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. Tori Cook is my permanency specialist. We're present ready.
Savannah Kincaid, I represent Ashley Alvarez. I haven't had contact with her, but I'm present and ready.
Stacy Grant on behalf of Daniel Perez. My client's present. We're ready, Your Honor.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Mia.
Okay, Ms. Cook, what do we have new since the court report was filed?
I also did file the reunification schedule and plan a couple days ago, or I guess that was yesterday. We have had some unsupervised visits these last 2 weekends. They were for 4 hours, and all of them have been going very well. Daniel has been complying with picking up Mia and taking her back at scheduled times. He sent me pictures of when they were together. And she seems happy and comfortable, and the foster parents don't have any concerns. I still have not been able to locate mom. Somebody said that she might be in a hotel or motel on Coulter. I called around to some that I could figure out, and nothing, no leads there. I think that's all the updates. Mia's doing very well. She's having fun summer, helping out with brother. She's just coming into her own personality, doing really well. So.
All right. So kind of what's the plan moving forward? We're getting through some unsupervised, then we're going to do some overnight.
Yes. So on that schedule, I had put that this weekend, Daniel pick up Mia on the 29th. And then return her on the 30th. And then on the 5th, he would pick her up again to the 7th. And if we had our drug screen back and those came back negative, then we could place with him on the 8th.
Okay. Great. Okay, Ms. Kincaid?
No questions, Your Honor.
Okay, anything to report today?
No, Your Honor, I have no updates. I've not had any luck finding Miss Alvarez.
Okay, Ms. Grant?
Your Honor, that was our understanding of the reunification plan. Mr. Perez has done exemplary in his case. I wish all my dads did as good a job as Mr. Perez does. He's looking forward to having Mia home, doing his monitored time frame, and then hopefully we can dismiss as to him and get Mia home permanently. We don't expect any issues with the drug test, of course, Your Honor.
Okay, and, Ms. Zavala?
Your Honor, Mia is doing really well in placement. As soon as we saw the reunification plan come through, we contacted Mr. Perez about getting to visit with her in his home. He was quite cooperative. And so we've got something scheduled for the visit this weekend where I can run out and get to see him and Mia together. But it looks like this is moving forward well. And I'm excited.
All right, very good. All right, then I'll continue.
I have one question real quick for Ms. Cook. Ms. Cook, are you wanting drug screens today, or are you going to get those from Mr. Perez on a different day?
I've already put in the orders for him, and I was going to have him go this week.
Okay. That's all, Judge.
Okay. All right, then I'll continue the department as temporary managing conservator. I'll continue the child's placement. I'm approving the reunification plan and find that mother is not in compliance and it would be a danger to return the child to her. However, father is in compliance and we're working on that return. And Mr. Perez, congratulations. Thank you so much for stepping up for your daughter. And I'm just hope this is going to go great.
It will. Thank you.
Okay. All right, then I'll see everybody back for our final, which is scheduled on August 20th of 2024 on a 9:00 docket. I mean, we'll see kind of where we're at and if we're ready to just dismiss and move forward at that point in time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Judge. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Y'all too.
Your Honor, we're set for the next one at 10:30, and I have a very strong suspicion that the attorneys are going to be requesting a Joel Jackson room.
All right, I'll start bringing them in.
Thank you, Judge.
Yeah. I like happy endings.
Sometimes it feels like we don't get a lot of them.
No. All right, let me get. And I do not have either parent in the waiting room either. Do we have service or? I mean, they obviously both know about it. They've applied for attorneys, but.
Sorry, I'm muted. Just talking away.
Oh, okay. I'm looking too.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not seeing returns.
Yeah, I'm saying that it was sent out, but I'm not seeing returns.
Yeah.
Either.
Okay.
Me.
Mr. Hammonds, if you can unmute for me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge. I thought I was unmuted.
Oh, no. Have you had contact with Mr. Draper?
Yeah, I represent Ashley Turner.
Oh, you've got the mom. That's
The
right.
mom.
Mr. Yeah.
I've got the mom. Judge, I've spoken to her a couple times, and after our last hearing, I told her to call me immediately. She did not do that. I've tried to call the number that the caseworker has given me, left her a message. She did not return my call. I don't know what to tell the court at this point.
Okay.
And Judge, I think on this when we had this hearing last time, Mr. Hill stood in for Mr. Barfield. I've not heard from Mr. Barfield on this. I don't have a signature. I did email the attorneys, when was that? End of last week. Mr. Hammond responded to it, but I didn't get a response from Mr. Barfield, so I have not heard from him on this case, Your Honor.
I can't remember if Mr. Hill was planning to stand in for him again or not.
I don't think so, because I think he said he would notify him and let him know that this was being reset. If I remember correctly.
Well, okay, let me see if I can't get a message to him.
I do know Judge Denny and Judge Estevez had dockets this morning, and then we do have a mandatory Randall County Jail docket this afternoon, but he may be walking the hallways over there.
Well, if I don't hear from him pretty quickly, what we might do is jump over to our next case and then jump back and see if we've been able to pull him in.
And
Yeah, that's fine. I'll email him as well, Judge.
And Judge, Kim just reminded me during that last one, I think you had asked Mr. Hill if he would be able to stand in if Mr. Barfield was not available, but I don't know that we ever got an, I think he was able to possibly, but I don't know that we ever got a answer on who was gonna be here.
Says he's stuck in the 181st right now. He is planning on appearing. I'm gonna just tell him we're gonna move to the next case and we'll come back
Okay.
to it. If Mr. Hammonds, are you okay with that?
I'm fine, Judge.
Okay. Thank
And
you very
I'll
much.
I'll mute myself again. That's fine.
Okay, I can put you back in the waiting room and you don't have to worry about it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, I have an issue on this next one and may potentially need the court to appoint a different attorney. I don't know if we want to discuss that very, very, very quickly in a breakout room or how you would like to handle that issue.
All right, I'm gonna have to pull Ms. Kincaid back in.
Yeah.
I don't have Mr. Michelson logged in.
And Judge, I'll try to call him. There was an email earlier this morning to some of our other hearings on this case, and Mr. Michelson responded. So I will try to get in touch with him too, real quick to see if he'll hop on.
Okay. Let me just, because I don't, Ms. Vala, do you mind to jump over to room 1 and see if Ms. Kincaid can come back in here pretty quick? Thank you. You can put yourself back into 1. Okay, Ms. Kincaid, thank you.
And
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge, Mr. Michelson didn't answer. I did send him an email to hop on, but
Okay, I'll watch for him.
okay.
All right.
And Stacy, did you need a bench conference on this, or do you want to talk about it?
I am fine with sharing my potential conflict with any of the attorneys. So if we want to do a bench conference, yeah, that might be the best.
Okay. All right, let's just, Ms. Kincaid, Ms. Vala, you all can go back to 1. We have several issues moving forward with this hearing today. Let me get Dad in. Hang on a minute. I failed to bring him in. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Jackson, we've got several problems with moving forward with this hearing today. Looks like we're going to need to reset it. The attorney ad litem for the child probably has a conflict, and we're going to have to assign someone else to represent the child. Additionally, Mr. Michelson, who represents the mother, cannot be here today, and the mother was just given notification of this apparently maybe yesterday, and there's not been time to have her brought in for the hearing. So we're looking at rescheduling this for July 9th. Ms. Katie, do you think we can put it on the morning docket, or do you think we need to push to the afternoon?
Where is the mom located?
She's in TDCJ.
Okay. If she was in Potter or Randall, we'd probably have to do it in the afternoon, but we could do this in the morning.
Am I correct about that, Mr. Trout? And you're muted.
I'm sorry, Judge, if you were asking me a question, I had multiple things going on. I'm sorry.
Okay, tell Kim to get out of your ear. Ms. McIntyre, you were nodding your head, so she is in TDCJ.
That's correct.
Yes, I'm sorry, Judge. Yes, ma'am. She's correct. She's in Woodman State Jail in Gatesville.
All right, so Ms. Katie, what do you think?
Well, one of your finals has gone away that day, and I don't know how long the finals are going to take, and you have one other adversary that I am unsure how contested that one's going to be. So maybe to be safe, let's do it in the afternoon.
Okay. All right, why don't we set for 1 o'clock then? Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry, but these are hurdles that we can't get over. We're gonna have to make some adjustments. So, and sir, you're muted, so I can't hear you if you're responding to me.
I say that's fine. I was just trying to see if she can get placed with a relative somewhere for now.
Okay, and just be sure and communicate. I think, and you may have already told Ms. Kincaid and given her a name, and between now and then we can certainly start taking a look at that.
I've got that, Your Honor, and I can pass it on to Mr. Trout.
Okay.
And Ms. Kincaid and I'll be discussing some things on that. So.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, well, my apologies, but I don't see that we can do otherwise. So Ms. Katie, we'll get someone substituted in on the case for Ms. Zavala. And then Mr. Michelson, hopefully we can make the arrangements to get Mom brought in, and so he will have an opportunity to talk with her.
And Mr. Anderson and Ms. McIntyre, y'all are both good on the 9th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I appreciate everybody's zigging and zagging, and I'll see you back on the 9th at 1 o'clock. For those of you that I won't see before that time, have a very nice 4th of July weekend. We're here set for our final. We're conducting this through Zoom. We are live streaming, and Ms. Galvan's making our record. All right. We'll take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present and ready. And Your Honor, parents are not in waiting room, correct?
They are not.
Okay. Thank you.
Stacy Zavala on behalf of Summer.
Okay, Mr. Trout, who's your first witness?
Lisa Eniga. And in what way are you involved in that or familiar with that case?
I was the investigator on the removal.
How did the department become involved in this case?
We received an intake on July 15th with concerns of drug use, prostitution, and the child being put in danger.
Okay. And did you, what were your steps on beginning your investigation?
Well, the first thing I did was contact the paternal grandmother because in the last case previous, she had Summer, the child, with her, and she was supposed to keep the child in her care. So I called her to make sure the child was there, and she said no, that the mother came a few months later and picked up the child, and she let the child go and didn't contact us or law enforcement.
Okay. So at that point, grandmother had not been protective of the child.
Exactly.
What did you do next?
Then I reached out to the family to try and contact them, which was very difficult to do as well.
Okay. And who is the mother of Summer?
Miss Jewett, Autumn Jewett.
Autumn Jewett?
Yes.
And what is the father's name?
Trevor Inlow.
Okay. Where were you trying to make contact with them?
I made contact at their residence.
Okay. And where were they living at the time?
Oh, goodness. They were living at some apartments. I do not remember the name or the address. I apologize.
Okay. But you were able to make contact eventually?
Eventually, yes.
Okay. And what were your conversations with parents?
The first conversation was only with the father through the crack of the door.
Okay.
He was not cooperative and willing to speak with me. He let me see Summer through the crack of the door, but that was all.
Okay. And at that time, how was the child?
I could barely see her, but she said hi to me, but all I could see was a little bit of her.
Okay. And what were your main concerns through the intake? What were the main concerns?
Drug use, fentanyl use, methamphetamine use, and prostitution.
After that, did you make any other contacts with the parents?
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
When was that? When was your next contact with them?
Oh, the next contact. Oh, goodness. It was in July. I think it was by phone with Miss Jewett, who was calling me and just kind of argued with me over the phone. Then she stated that she would end up meeting with us. July 24th came and went, and she didn't meet with us. I did have contact with her off and on, but she kept making up excuses. Let's see here. I did more attempts. And just more excuses.
What
sorry,
what steps as far as contact did the department go through trying to prevent a removal or to make sure the safety of the child?
We tried to get the family to work with us. They were non-compliant. We did end up moving to a motion to participate, and they were not compliant with that either. They just wouldn't work with us, wouldn't drug screen or anything like that. But there was numerous attempts to try and do that before we went to the removal.
Okay. And when you say they wouldn't cooperate with the most to participate, what do you mean by that? Give me details on that.
They wouldn't interview with me. They wouldn't allow me into the home. They wouldn't let me really see the child. There was one point where they did let me see her standing there. I didn't get to talk to her or look her over like we normally do. And they refused to drug screen for the department as well.
Okay. During the motion to participate, were they ordered to drug screen for you?
Yes.
And they refused to do that?
Yes.
Did you ever receive any other information of drug use going on at the house?
I did. Starting off, the paternal grandmother had suspicion of it. The apartment complex manager knew about it, and Miss Jewett had actually told him that she was addicted to fentanyl. There was other tenants in the building that knew about the drug use. There was a couple other people that worked there at the apartments that also knew about the drug use, and they had a history as well.
Okay. Did y'all try any family-based services also?
We did try to do that. We were able to meet with the father one time to do a joint assessment with the family-based worker. That he was not very compliant. He did allow us in. There was hardly anything in the apartment because they were being evicted. The mother was not there. We were able to see the child and speak to the father a little bit. He agreed to go and drug screen, but he never ended up doing so.
Okay. And this went on into September, is that correct?
I believe so. Look. Yes.
And up to that point, they had not cooperated with any drug screens for you?
No.
Okay. Due to refusal to cooperate under court orders and refusing to drug screen, and the information the department had received regarding drug use in the home, did the department ask for removal of the child?
Yes.
And was that granted in September?
Yes, it was.
Of 2023?
Yes, it was.
And do you believe that was in the best interest of the child?
I do.
Did you have the child, or was the child drug tested during your investigation?
Yes, the day of the removal, I went and I had the child hair strand.
Okay. And what were the results of that test?
Positive for fentanyl and methamphetamine.
Your Honor, I'd ask to admit exhibit number 1. It's the business records affidavit of the drug screens that were just testified to.
No objection?
Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Honor. And how old was Summer at the time?
At the time, I believe she was 3.
Okay. And so you had a 3-year-old who was positive for methamphetamine and fentanyl?
Yes.
While residing with both parents?
Yes.
Prior to that removal, outside of the 2 times that you mentioned you saw the child, were you ever able to see the child outside the home?
Before removal?
Around that time, yes, ma'am.
I think I saw the child a total of 3 times before the removal. That was it.
Okay. And you worked on this case, I believe, from July until September?
Yes.
And you were only able to observe the child 3 different times?
Yes, and not even fully.
Okay. During your conversations with parents, did they ever mention any drug use, or did they deny it the whole time?
Denied it.
Okay. Even after removal, were you able to meet with parents?
Just the mother. When I went to do the removal, I found the mother and the child in a hotel room, and she basically was combative, didn't want to listen to me or go over paperwork. And that was the last time I saw her didn't see the father.
And were parent around the time of removal, were parents evicted from their apartment?
Yes, they had been evicted and were living in a motel.
Okay. Do you know where they went after that motel?
I don't. The motel staff said that the mother went and lived under a stairway at the storage unit for a few days, and then they never saw them again.
Okay. And you believe that due to the positive drug screens and the information you received during your investigation, it was in the best interest of the child to remove?
Yes.
Where was the child placed?
The child was placed during my interaction at the High Plains Children's Home.
Okay. And during your interaction in the case, was she doing well adjusting to that?
She was doing great, surprisingly great.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll pass the witness.
All right, Ms. Vaughn.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Trott, is Ms. Iniga free to go?
Yes, ma'am. I have no objection.
Okay.
No
Thank you,
objection.
Iniga. Appreciate your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
All right, you can call your next witness.
Called Nerti and Grani. And have you've been on the case since the beginning?
Yes, sir.
Once St. Francis receives a case, what are your first steps in working a case with the parents?
With the parents, I try to contact the parents. I try to arrange a schedule to meet face to face with the parents. And that was never happened because the parents did not give me the correct address. Both of them were hotel hoppers. So they gave me some address in the hotels. And then when I visit with them in the hotel, they were not there, and it was a fake address. And this happens throughout the case. Happens like that.
Okay. What steps, once you are able to meet with them, what steps do you go through to try to facilitate reunification if that's possible?
We try to establish a service plan with the parents, and also we have parents have to do drug screen and provide visitation with the children, with the child, sorry. Yeah.
Did you do service plans in this case?
Yes, sir.
And can you tell me what service plans are?
Service plan is for both parents. It's similar. They do to offer them to do parenting class and psychosocial assessment, individual counseling, rational behavior therapy, as well as the drug screen, monthly drug screens.
And were service plans done in this case?
And no, sir.
Did you generate service plans in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And were those service plans filed with the court?
Yes, sir.
Did you receive what I sent out as exhibits number 2 and number 3?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what those are?
This is the service plan for Miss Jewett, and this is a family plan service for Miss Jewett and Mr. Inlow.
Okay. And these are file mark stamped October 24th of 2023?
Yes, sir.
And are these the service plans that you generated for this case?
Yes, sir. Correct.
Your Honor, I would ask to admit exhibit number 2 and number 3. They are certified copies of the service plans that were filed with the court that Ms. Angrani just testified to.
No objection.
All right, petitioners exhibit 2 and 3 will be admitted.
Now, Ms. Angrani, throughout the life of this case, let me back up. Were these service plans made in order of the court?
Yes.
And throughout the life of this case, did either one of the parents work any services?
No, sir.
Did they ever attempt to work any services?
Miss Jewett attempted to join the parenting class at Padre at that time, but Padre has called me back and say that she's still pretty high with the illegal substance, so they could not let her join the class.
Okay. Did she ever attempt to go back and do that?
No, sir.
How often have you had contact with parents?
we have to, our policy is 3 times in a month. And that's what I try to contact them.
As far as mom, how, have you been successful in having contact with her?
Yes, sir.
When was the last time you had contact with her?
That was May 30th.
Okay.
It's before I went to Nebraska to play summer with the relatives
Okay. And while you mentioned that, where is Summer placed right now?
in Nebraska with a maternal and an uncle.
Okay. And how is she doing?
She's doing great. She's really adjusting well with the family. She's surprised that she has cousins now, and she was trying to learn how to adjust with the cousin and share. That's what the parents told me.
Okay.
The uncle and auntie. Yeah.
Are the aunt and uncle, are they wanting to get licensed to adopt, or are they already licensed?
They are intending to adopt and to be licensed.
Okay, so if Summer becomes available to adopt, their plan is to try to adopt her?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What about your contact with Dad? Have you been able to have contact with him?
Yes, sir.
And when was your last contact?
The last contact I did was, one second. Actually 2 days ago, with the phone number 7. So I have 7 numbers of the dad. So I just got it from Finders. And it was him to answer the phone. And I asked him if he wanted to be appear in court, and he said, I will definitely appear in court. And yeah, I gave the link for the court, and he stated that he wanted to come, but I don't know if he's there.
But you heard it state earlier that he's not in the waiting room.
Mhm.
And so
Yes.
he is not present, correct?
He's not.
But you did send a link to him.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Has Dad worked or attempted to work any services?
No, sir.
Have the parents had any visitations?
Yes, for about several months. It's a virtual visit because inability to provide clean urine. And then I think the last court, the judge decided to suspend the visit. So that's, they never provide any clean urine.
Okay. So in order to have in-person visits, they needed to provide clean drug screens.
Yes,
And that never happened through this case?
never, sir.
Did parents ever drug screen for you?
No.
Do you believe that the parents have the ability to provide care and shelter for this child?
No, sir.
Did the department, has the child been in the care of the department for longer than 6 months?
Yes, sir.
And has the department for St. Francis given them the ability to work through services and to try to reunite with the child?
Yes, sir.
And before that stage, even the ability to have in-person visits?
Yes.
And have the parents availed themselves to that?
Yes, sir.
Let me back up on that. Have they taken advantage of the services offered?
No.
Okay. Have they done what they needed to do in order to gain in-person visits?
No, sir.
Okay. Is the department today asking for termination of the parental rights of Trevor Enlow and Autumn Jewett in regards to the child?
Yes, sir.
And are you asking for that based upon constructive abandonment,
Yes.
fail to work services,
Yes, sir.
endangering the child to the point that she was positive for methamphetamine and fentanyl?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe that terminating the parental rights is in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
And is that due to also the child being placed with family who is willing to adopt?
Yes, sir.
I'll pass the witness at this time, Your Honor.
Ms. Vaughn?
I have no questions, Your Honor.
All right, then. Mr. Trapp, does the department rest?
Department rest, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Zavala, any witnesses to call today?
No witnesses, Your Honor. I would rest.
All right, and you have a recommendation to make?
I do. Your Honor, I do believe it's in Summer's best interest for the parental rights to be terminated for both parents at this time. She is doing very well in her kinship placement. I look forward to seeing her be adopted at some point in hopefully the near future. And I do believe all of that would be in our best interest.
Your Honor, I would ask to reopen just real quick.
Okay, granted.
Your Honor, as far as the parents, mom was personally served in December 8th of 2023. Dad was never able to be found to be served, but he did appear at the temporary hearing, and at our last hearing, he attempted to, but I think his phone dropped out. He did talk to us for a minute, but then fell out. So Dad did appear. They both were provided paperwork to ask for attorneys and never filled that out.
Yeah, I concur. He did appear back, he appeared March 5th. And of 2024. He appeared on October 5th of 2023. Which was the reset of the adversary hearing. So he did appear twice.
Yes, ma'am.
And did not ever fill out or submit attorney paperwork. So, and I show that he is an adjudicated father.
Yes, ma'am. He was adjudicated out of a prior case in Randall County.
Right. Okay. All right.
And with that, I'll rest.
Okay. All right, then I do find by clear and convincing evidence it is in the best interest of the child to terminate the parental rights between the child and her mother and father, Autumn Renee Jewett and Trevor Enlow, based on Texas Family Code sections 161.001, subsection B1, the D, E, N, and O grounds, and the best interest under 161.001, subsection B2. At this time, I'll name the department as permanent managing conservator and continue the child's current placement. Ms. Zavala will remain in the case as the child's attorney and guardian ad litem. All right. Thank you all very, very much. Sorry for all the jumping around. Appreciate you. And we will move on to our next task at hand.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Ms. Ingram.
Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I just off the record, I don't have either one of your all's clients. Are we prepared to move forward? I'm just trying to get an idea of what we're getting ready to do.
Judge, when speaking with my client, has he been served?
No, neither one of the served. They've been issued, but we haven't been able to find them and get either one served.
Okay.
They did, of course, fill out the paperwork for y'all, but through the department, but we have not got service on.
Judge, my position is I'm ready to move forward. Ms. Turner was at the last meeting. She knew about today's. I'm not going to say she's intentionally avoided me, but she certainly hasn't returned my phone calls.
We are here today on a reset of our adversary hearing. We initially appeared on June 18th, and I showed that Ms. Turner nor Mr. Draper attended. Their appointed counsel, Mr. Hammonds and Mr. Barfield, both were in attendance, and I think jointly requested a reset to give them some more time to make contact with their clients. Obviously, Ms. Turner and Mr. Draper know about the case. They both applied for court-appointed attorneys, were given that information. They were given their attorney's contact information and vice versa. So let me just, let's go ahead and take announcements. And then I might have just a couple of quick questions for the department about what contact maybe they've had with parents, but, and whether or not links to the hearing have been sent to them and that kind of thing. So, okay, we'll go ahead and take announcements.
Daniel Trout for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
T.D. Hammonds for the mother, Ashley Turner. I'm ready to proceed, Judge. And I guess I was under the impression, or I remembered, Miss Turner did join us at the last hearing.
She might have logged in late.
Yeah, I think I actually spoke to her as we were wrapping up. So.
Okay.
But I'm ready to I mean, I'm ready to proceed, Judge. I've read the investigative report. I understand what the department is, going to present. I'm ready to proceed.
Okay. All right, Mr. Barfield.
Your Honor, I'm ready to proceed as well. We did have communication with my client and Miss Brian and Draper. And my understanding from communication with my office is he was wanting to was going to agree to participate in services.
Okay. All right, just for everybody's edification, my notes show that mother was not present, but she has met with the department and with her attorney. This is from the first setting. Mr. Draper is not present, and neither parent has been served. Both parents were present at a kinship review meeting. Parents gave names for home studies. Parents are likely in agreement, but mother's phone doesn't seem to be working today. Rapid beeping. So,
I'll correct myself then, Judge. That's the conversation I had with Ms. Turner was during that kinship review hearing. I did speak with her then, and that was the day before our adversary was previously scheduled.
okay, and like I said, it was announced that they were likely in agreement based on that kinship review meeting. So there's no question that they're aware of the case, and so let me just ask real quickly for the department or St. Francis, have you all had any further contact since that meeting?
Ms. Mahone.
I haven't had any contact with the parents.
Okay, Ms. Zuniga, have you had any further contact with them?
I have not. I'm checking to see if there has been any contact between St. Francis and the mom. It looks like mom's been texting the parent support worker as recently as the 22nd.
Okay. All right. Well, based on all of that, we're going to go ahead and proceed today. So, Mr. Trout, you can call your first witness.
And Your Honor, Stacy Zavala on behalf of the child.
I'm sorry.
I'd call Keyshawn Mahone, Your Honor. And how are you familiar with that case?
Because I was the investigator on the case.
Okay. How did the department become involved in the case with this child?
The department received an intake on the family on May 21st of this year.
Okay. And what did that intake involve?
So the intake that we received, it came in for neglectful supervision of Drayan Draper by his mother, Ashley Turner. There was some concerns as far as domestic violence. Mrs. Turner had physically assaulted Brian Draper while Drayan Draper was present in the home.
Okay. And just for record purposes, mother's name is what?
Ashley Turner.
And father's name is?
Brian Draper.
Okay. Were you able to make contact with them, with either parent?
Yes, I was able to make contact with both.
And did you meet them separately at the same time?
I met them at the same time.
Okay. Did you discuss the allegations with them?
Yes, I did.
And who did you address first, mom or dad?
I spoke with Ashley Turner first, Mom.
Okay. What was mom's response to the allegations?
So initially, she denied the allegation. She just stated that the altercation between her and Brian Draper was just verbal, and she left the home before things escalated.
Okay. Go ahead.
And then after she was confronted about the information that was provided, she stated that she didn't remember all of that stuff.
Okay. What did Mr. Draper state about the incident?
He confirmed that him and Ashley had got into a verbal altercation that turned physical and that Ashley assaulted him.
Okay. Did he ever state whether she assaulted him with hands, objects, what type of?
He stated both. She assaulted him with her hands and with objects as well.
Okay. Did the department try to prevent a removal at that time?
Yes, we did.
And let me back up just a second. Was the child present during this altercation?
Yes, he was.
Due to that information, did the department try to prevent a removal at that time?
Yes, we did.
In what way did you try to do that?
We tried to implement a safety plan.
Okay. And what did that safety plan entail?
The safety plan entailed that that Ashley Turner would leave the home with Drayan. She would go reside at her grandfather's house to keep Drayan away from the danger.
Okay. And by the danger, you mean mom and dad being around each other?
Yes.
And do they have through your investigation, did mom and dad have a kind of volatile relationship?
Yes.
And both parents did they ever admit to some sort of domestic violence between them?
Yes.
Okay. Would mom agree to sign a safety plan?
No.
Okay. But she agreed verbally to follow it?
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to, did you transport mom and child over to granddad's house, or did they drive themselves?
They drove themselves.
Okay. And you followed?
Yes.
Okay. Were you allowed in the house or on the property when you got there?
No.
Okay. Were you able to meet with grandfather?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you meet with him?
I met with him at his home.
Okay. Was that on that same day?
That was on the same day.
Okay. And you advised him of what was going on?
Yes.
And was he okay with that arrangement?
Yes.
Okay. Did mom follow safety plan?
No.
Okay. In what way did she violate the safety plans?
She took Drayan back to Drayan Draper's house.
Okay. And when was that?
That was on May 31st.
Okay. So how long after mom had agreed to the safety plan did that happen?
About 8 days.
Okay. So for approximately a week, to your knowledge, she worked the safety plan, did what she was supposed to do.
Yes.
But then she went back to dad's house.
Yes.
Did you go to dad's house?
Yes.
Was mom there?
Yes.
Were you able to meet with either one of them?
With both of them.
Okay. Did you discuss the violation of the safety plans?
Yes.
And what was mom and dad's response at that time?
There was really no response at that time.
Okay. Did she say why she had violated that safety plan?
No.
Okay. Was there still the concern and danger of the domestic violence that happens between mom and dad?
Yes.
And the child being with them?
Yes.
Did you ever ask, was there ever any concerns of drugs with mom and dad?
Yes.
Did you ever ask them to drug screen for you?
Yes.
Did they?
No.
To this point, have they drug screened for you?
Not from my understanding, no.
Okay. Due to those concerns and mom breaking the safety plan by going back to dad's, did the department ask the court for a removal of the child?
Yes.
And was that granted?
Yes.
And do you believe that that was in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
Where was the child placed at that time?
He was placed in Plainview in foster care.
Okay. Did parents give you any family members or anybody that could have helped at that time?
Initially, no.
Okay. I know grandfather was involved in the safety plan. Would he have been an option, or was he not willing?
No.
No to which one? I'm sorry.
He wouldn't have been an option.
Okay. And why is that?
Just due to due to my conversation with him. So I guess it kind of plays into both. He wouldn't have been an option, and he really didn't want to do it. He was okay with them being there, but
he didn't want the child placed with him?
Yes.
Okay. After the removal, did you meet with the parents anymore?
Yes. I met with them the following day.
Okay. And was that at the department, or where was that?
That was at the department.
Okay. Did you explain to mom and dad why the removal?
Yes.
And you gave them the paperwork?
Yes.
Okay. Did they state anything or give you any family names or kinship placements?
Yes.
Okay. And who were those people?
So Drayan Draper, he had given me his mother and grandmother's information. And then Ashley Turner, she had given me her like some cousins and aunts information.
Okay. Do you know, have those people been looked into?
From my understanding, they're being looked into.
They're currently being looked into?
Yes, sir.
Let me see. Did the parents have any other questions or, for you about the removal at that time?
No.
Okay. Was there a meeting set up later with the parents?
Yes.
And where did that take place?
It took place via Teams.
Okay. And what was that meeting for?
To find kinship placement.
Okay. At that time, did parents have any concerns or any questions for you regarding removal?
No.
And by your end of your, or not end of your involvement, but last time you checked, had parents drug screened for you?
No.
How many different times did you ask them to go drug screen for you?
Twice.
Okay. And they never drug screened either time?
No.
How is the child doing?
He's doing good.
When was your last contact with parents?
My last contact with the parents was during the kinship meeting.
Okay. All right. And that was over Teams, you said?
Yes.
And you said the child, to your knowledge, is doing well?
Yes.
And still in foster care? Or
yes.
In the foster placement, I mean?
Yes.
And have parents reached out to you at all?
No.
Okay. And you believe that this removal at the time was in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Hammonds?
Thank you, Judge. Ma'am, in your position with St. Francis or the department in the investigative area, have you come into contact with other people that you felt were under the influence of some sort of substance?
Yes.
I mean, was there anything specific about your interaction with Mr. Draper or Miss Turner that gave you suspicions they might be either under the influence of alcohol or some sort of illegal substance?
Upon initial contact?
Yes, just over the course of these few weeks that you met with them face to face.
Yes.
Okay, what specifically can you tell me led you to believe that?
Due to Ashley's just erratic behavior. I know when I initially met with them, she was just very irritated with Dad, and she was just kind of going up and down. Just during my whole time of meeting with Ashley Turner, it was like she was high and then she was low.
I mean, do you know if she's had any kind of mental issue in the past?
From my understanding, yes.
Okay, and what is that?
I know that she dealt with some depression when she initially gave birth to Drayan.
I mean, did you ask her if she was ever on any kind of prescription psychotropic meds?
Yes.
Do you remember what her response was?
I can't believe she said that she never took anything.
I mean, was she ever prescribed any meds by a psychiatrist?
From my understanding, no.
And as far as you know, has she ever spent any time in the local pavilion?
No.
Okay. I have nothing further, Judge.
All right, Mr. Barfield?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Ma'am, my client, have you talked to him?
Recently?
At any time?
Yes.
And did he indicate, when was the last time you spoke with him?
The last time I spoke with him directly was on the June 1st.
Okay. And what was the substance of that conversation?
We just completed the removal paperwork.
Did he indicate to you whether he was going to cooperate with the removal, the department, or anything of that nature?
Yes.
Okay. And what did he specifically tell you?
He said that he would do whatever he needed to do to get his son back.
So he indicated that he wanted to work with the department.
Yes.
Okay. But since then you've been he has not contacted you, and you've been unable to contact him.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness.
Okay. Ms. Zavala.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Trout, anything further of this witness?
Real quick, Ms. Mahone, today you're asking the court to grant the department temporary managing conservatorship of the child. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you do believe that's in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
And you'd be asking parents to work services?
Yes.
Let me give me 1 second. There are some prior orders on this case. Is that correct? Do you know about prior orders, Ivan, on this case?
No.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay. And are you aware that there was medical support ordered for dad to pay?
Yes.
Okay. And would you ask for that to be transferred to the department?
Yes.
Okay. And you believe that also would be in the best interest of the child?
Yes.
I'll pass witness, Your Honor.
Okay. Any further questions?
No, Judge.
No.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Then, Mr. Trout, you have any other witnesses to call?
No, Your Honor, Department of Resident.
Okay. Mr. Hammonds?
Nothing to offer, Judge.
Do you rest?
Yes.
Mr. Barfield?
No witnesses, rest and close.
All right. And Ms. Zavala?
Close, Judge.
No witnesses, Your Honor. I have the rest.
And do you have a recommendation back?
I do, Your Honor. I do believe it's in Drayan's best interest to remain in the temporary managing conservatorship of the department. He has been placed in a foster home while we're waiting on the results of those home studies and the names of the family members that have been identified. Doing well, adjusting. ECI has been scheduled to come out and meet with him. So I've got no concerns about him in that home at this time.
All right. Thank you. All right, then at this time, I will find the evidence is sufficient to name the Department of Family and Protective Services as the temporary managing conservator of the child. I would find there's a continuing and ongoing danger to return the child home at this time. Find that the parents will need to work services, that the department will use reasonable efforts to reunify the family. I'm not going to order any child support or medical support at this time, and hope the parents will engage in their services. That can always be reevaluated. I do show Mr. Draper as an adjudicated father. Mr. Trapp, you concur with that?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So if we have to revisit support down the line, we can do that. Okay. I appreciate everybody's patience this morning. Thank y'all. And we will adjourn this case. And I'll start getting people in on the next one. I'm going to give Ms. Galvan a short break. We've been going pretty fast and hard all morning.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank y'all. Have a good rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Judge.
Here on a reset of our final. We appeared back on June 4th of 2024, called the case and ended up recessing. So we'll go ahead and take announcements since we're here on a new day.
Daniel
Clerk,
Trout.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Daniel Trial for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. We're present, ready, Your Honor.
Claire Grammer on behalf of the parents, Matthew and Amy Welch. We are present and ready.
Stacy Zabella on behalf of Thomas.
All right, Mr. Trout, you got witness to call, or have we got anything worked out?
I hadn't had anything worked out, Your Honor. Our position's still the same. Ms. Prater, I believe, was on the stand when we recessed at the last hearing. Our position is still the same, that Thomas should be reunited with his parents and the department dismissed out, is where we are, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, if we're going to take significant testimony, I would ask that we go off of YouTube, because I anticipate it would include some personal information about Thomas's health information.
All right, I don't have a problem with that. Here's the problem I do have is I've got a case set to start at 2:00, and if we're going to go into testimony, I'll give you what time I've got, but I don't have very much today. So I'm sorry, we've burned a lot of time in breakout rooms and bench conference and all that. So Mr. Trout, how much more do you think you've got with Ms. Prater?
We'd be given a little bit of testimony, Your Honor. We didn't really get into it at the last hearing, just a short announcement.
All right, well, okay. Ms. Prater, you're still under oath.
And Ms. Prater, the department's not asking for termination of parental rights or anything, is that correct?
No.
The department's asking that this child has been in care for a couple years now, and for the child to be returned home to the parents and for the department to be dismissed out. Is that correct?
Yes.
And at this point, how is the child doing right now in care?
His behaviors ebb and flow. It's really dependent upon the day and kind of what's going on in his day-to-day life.
Okay. How have visits with the parents been going?
They've been going well.
Okay. When was his last visit with the parents?
It was 1 second. The exact date. It was June 7th through June 14th.
Okay. And did we have any issues during those visits?
Not that I'm aware of.
What is the child's school situation looking like right now?
He'll be going to middle school in the fall. He's currently attending summer school.
Okay. Is he in 4-day summer school? How is that going?
He's going well so far. He has had an episode at one point in school so far.
Okay. And Judge, I will discuss some of medication at this time if we need to go off YouTube.
Yeah, okay. All right, no opposition to stopping the live stream?
Not on behalf of parents.
Ooh, he hit us with the Esquire. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's how those back east lawyers do it.
Okay. I'm gonna put all my certifications on there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with my basic EMT all the way out to Esquire and see if it'll fit on there.
Yeah. Yeah. I always know when I get an attorney letterhead.
With Esquire.
Back that I'm going to have my hands full.
I saw a conversation on Facebook about that the other day, and it said something about you could use JD if you've graduated, but Esquire only if you pass the bar. Is that right?
I think, you know what? I have no earthly idea, but I think that's probably correct, because Esquire means you're actually a practicing attorney.
Gotcha. I'm just kind of usually lucky if they call me, just like my regular old given name. I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as they don't call me a curse word, I'm okay.
I'm good as long as I'm not called Bruce.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get called Bruce 6 times a day.
I hear people call you Mr. Brooks a lot.
I in court all the time during trials, judges refer to me as Mr. Brooks all the time, which is cool because I think that's kind of a cool name.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a spy name or something.
Have you seen that movie, Mr. Brooks? It's Kevin Costner. You could do worse. You could do a lot worse.
I will be Kevin Costner any day of the week.
Well, if you become Kevin Costner, just know I'll be hanging out at your office a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think we have anything to fear for that, do we?
I think that you're just fabulous in your own right.
I was gonna say, if he moves to Montana, we're gonna know.
There's an opening in Yellowstone, Brooks. You could apply.
You know
That's
what?
right.
If it's any cooler up there, I might, but I don't think it is.
All right, I'd like to move the lawyers into a bench conference real quickly. We are here on a reset for our adversary. We reset after some testimony had been taken in the case, and are awaiting the results of some drug screening. We don't have all of those back. And so I've visited with counsel, and we think that the best thing to do is to reset this for Wednesday, July 10th. We were set for our status hearing that day anyway. So depending on the outcome of the adversary hearing, we will either roll directly into the status hearing after that, take care of what needs to be done there. And of course, if I don't grant the department's request for temporary managing conservatorship of children, then it'll be dismissed and we're done. So I'm sorry to do that, but I think we all agreed at the last hearing that it would be important to have the results of the drug screens. We're still waiting on a couple of those. So we're going to reset to Wednesday, July 10th at 1:00. You'll get new Zoom links. And so I'll see everybody back then. I appreciate everybody's patience, and everybody's free to go unless you've got some questions.
No questions.
Parents do stay in contact with your attorneys. There are some things they're going to need to be talking to you about, since we're going to be jammed up so close to the status hearing. So
Okay.
we're going to have a few little unusual things kind of going on all at the same time, but it's important you stay in contact with them so they can talk to you about that and talk to you about what we need to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you all so much, and everybody have a good rest of your afternoon.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge.